Welcome, everyone. We are so excited to be sharing our Sunday night with you. I am honored that you would share your Sunday night with me. My name is Dr. Deedra Mason. I am the Director of nutraMetrix and Clinical Education from Market America and Shop.com. Like I said, this is a huge pleasure. And the reason why it's a pleasure for me is because as a physician, it's important that people have a good resource to answer their questions about their stress, about their lifestyle, about their family, their friends, and their community. And ultimately, the things that bring us together, which is the fact that our families build out into their pods, into those communities, and create well-being. My job here and my honor here tonight is to talk to you about the ways that you can create well-being in your community, how you can take a world that is coming at you fast and you can create a space for yourself, a space for your family, and a space that makes you an asset to your community. As we answer questions tonight about your immunity, about your mental and your physical well-being. It's exciting to do this because, as I said, the world is coming at us fast. And quite frankly, the information's coming at us just as fast as we find ourselves in a very fluid situation where some of the information that's coming at us is different than the information that we heard yesterday. Market America, we want to be a resource to you so you can have a space to feel safe, to feel like you're getting good information that will create wellness for you and your family. And it's to that end that I will be sharing my time with you today. A couple of housekeeping tidbits or pro tips from Dr. D. If you see my image over my slide projection that we're going to be looking at here in a minute, I want you to know if you're not a Zoomer, you can move that camera around. You can move my image anywhere that you would like. To unblock the screen, you can make me small, you can make me big. So if that works for you, that will work for me. In addition to that, I want you to know that you can comment in the comment box. We're going to be putting the chat live for you pretty soon, and we're going to be spending about 30 or 40 minutes together going over some of the ways that I see that you can be very helpful. Some of my colleagues and their advice and what they expect their families to do, their communities to do, and we're going to share that information with you through some dialogue that I've had with them, and it's my pleasure to be able to share with you today. In addition to that, we are live on Facebook. So if you have guests or individuals that want to learn more about health and nutrition, about immune support, managing their mental well-being, as well as their physical well-being during times like this, then I want you to encourage them to go live over on the Market America Facebook page, where they're going to see the immune event that we're doing here tonight. The real fun part about the Facebook Live is that it stays live. It stays active. And so you're going to be able to go back and revisit that. Why don't we get started together to talk about where are we at in 2020, March 2020, learning about immunity and well-being. And what I want to do is talk to you about, in a world that feels like there's not a whole lot you can control, I wanted to spend the evening talking with you about the things that you can control. Because when we think about creating an immunity for you, when we think about creating well-being in your space, in your family, one of the ways that we're going to do that is by creating wellness through immunity, but good resources that help you understand immunity. So as we go further, I know that I was looking for answers, and so I did a deep dive to help you answer your questions. Immunity, function, and balance. When you think about your body's first line of defense, it's the white blood cells. But do you often get past that? In your head, are you able to get past the idea of the white blood cell, the one that's doing all of the put up your dukes fighting for you? I want you to go one step further and beyond immunity at the white blood cell level. I want you to start thinking about your daily habits, your daily routine, your daily stressors, and the environment that you create through the words that you choose, that you spend on other people, or the words that you choose to speak to yourself. I want you to think about the environment that you are creating, both externally and internally. And what is it that is within your control so you can improve your immunity? Now, at the end of the day, we're not going to spend tonight talking about the immune system. It is wickedly complex. And what we need to understand is that as certain chemicals go up in the body, other chemicals have to come down. It's a bit of a yin and a yang, a bit of a give and a take. And that give and take is influenced by the foods that you eat, by the stress that you have, by the exercise that you are getting or you're not getting. It's most definitely impacted by the sleep that you are getting or you're not getting. And we want to talk about the way we can make everything robust by giving you the supplements, nutrients, and recommendations for movement and community well-being that you need. So without getting into the nitty-gritty of the immune system, you should know it's strongly impacted by the way you spend your day, with the way you help support or manage your stress, by the way you exercise, and when you go to sleep at night. What I want you to know is that its function, its ability to fight back, is critically linked, intimately linked to your daily routines. And so today, we're going to talk about discipline and habits and routine. We're going to talk about a supplement routine. We're going to talk about discipline and habits when it comes to when you go to sleep at night and when you wake up in the morning. I promise you, if you follow some of these tips, you're going to wake up feeling very refreshed, and your immune system is going to have the benefit of being rebalanced. It's that rebalancing of the immune system that is linked to keeping balance in your day. At the end of the day, when we take small steps, they lead to big changes, especially as we get into the habit of duplicating those steps each and every day. And that's how we build a healthier us, a healthier family pod, and ultimately a healthier community. Because community builds immunity. And right now, many of us are feeling like we are pushed away from our community. We're feeling like we are not in connection to the people that we're used to seeing smiles from on the street, where we are used to seeing our coworkers, and we're missing their 2-minute quick conversations, or that space around the water cooler or the coffee pot, right? We're missing some of the day-to-day interactions, and it's truly impacting our immune system. And so what I want to encourage us to do, knowing that community builds immunity, is our first step towards better health and better immune function is to find ways to reconnect to people. We're connecting right now. It is my honor, my pleasure to be boosting your immune system as we speak. And that's the point of coming together as this group, because community builds immunity. So right now, I want you to think of a way that you would be able to create connections. If you're staying at home, you're social distancing, right? Social responsibility right now is to social distance. How can you create wellness? Who can you reach out to and create a good vibe for them? As my good friend Sarah Tegender often says, she says, your vibe creates or attracts your tribe. And so I want you to think about the people that you want to bring into your tribe, the people that you want to boost their vibe and ultimately boost our frequency and support immunity. The reason why this is such an important place to start is because lack of social connection is a greater determinant of health, or it has a greater detriment to our health than obesity does, than being overweight, or obesity, being overweight, high blood pressure, or even smoking does. You've heard that sitting is the new smoking. I think today we're seeing a little more emphasis put on the lack of social connections, because strong social connections lead to an increased chance of longevity. And I want to be really clear about that word. Longevity just doesn't mean the quantity of your years. It actually means the quality of your years, right? Quality of life factors. And social connectedness is one of those quality of life factors. It just happens to boost your immune system as well. So whether you, wherever you are in the United States, I want you to think about someone that you're going to be able to reach out to tomorrow, someone that you can send a fun Facebook meme or Instagram post to, someone that just needs a text, someone that needs a virtual hug, because social connectedness, social communication, that strengthens our immune system. In fact, genes that are linked to reward center, like dopamine, genes that are linked to social connectedness, again, emotional support. These are serotonin genes, dopamine genes, some of the genes that are related to mental health and well-being are intimately linked to immune function and how our body responds, bobs and weaves, as I like to say, to stressors throughout our day. When we're able to support a healthy gene environment with the right nutrients, the right stress habits. And what I mean by that is stress is one of these things that is non-modifiable. So we need to find a way to modify our day or our response to it. In addition to that, genes are often, or gene environment is often linked to the combination of nutrients, the sleep and fitness that we're getting. All of these things connected can create a healthier immune environment as well as a healthier inflammatory environment. What we're not looking to do is be in a state of high stress, high cortisol, or abnormal hormone levels, or a state of high inflammation. How do we take care of this then? We need to do less. Now, this probably isn't the first time you've been told that you need to do less. The unfortunate thing is, in the world that we live in today, and the way we hold that metric by which we gauge our success is often by doing more, not less. Right? So I want to be really clear. I'm not talking about less productivity. I'm talking about less static. I'm talking about less pressure. And I'm talking about less criticism. I'm talking about finding your inner Zen, finding that Buddha in you that says, I'm going to be good with this. I'm going to flow. I have a new situation. I have a new sense of urgency. And for that reason, I'm going to find my path. And this is a new day for me. What I want us to think about is how to create well-being here with the words that we choose, and by giving ourselves a separation from the criticism that we often are prone to, especially when we think about whether or not we did or didn't get things done. So when I say do less, what I would love to see people do is, at the end of the day, create a list of the things that they did get done. Stop creating a list of the things that you didn't get done, right? When we think about productivity, we often will get this grocery list running, and we want to make sure that we get everything checked off of our list. There's a good defense for creating meaningful steps on that to-do list. And what I find at the end of the day, when you check in with yourself, it is always best to ask yourself, what did I overcome today? What did I learn from what I overcame today? What new knowledge do I have? And I have found it is hugely beneficial for mind, mental well-being, as well as peaceful sleep, to remind myself of all of the things that I did get done. But speaking of doing less, let's do less of the news. Let's do less of the negative chit chat and static. I want to see you guys take a break from the news, because this is a fluid situation. We're in a position where news is coming at us too fast. And so you want to check in periodically. You want to check in once a day. I don't want you to be misinformed, but I do not want the news to stress you out. So when we think about doing less and getting more out of our day, it includes doing less of the checking in with the news and more of mindful breathing. Mindfulness, mindful eating, mindful words, both to ourselves and others, can be created through a mindful breathing technique. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. In through the nose and out through the mouth. And while it does tend to support a healthy heart rate, while it does tend to support a healthy blood sugar and vascular response, I want you to know it also supports a healthy immune response. In fact, studies show that slowed or rhythmic breathing can increase natural killer cells. They can increase the activity of white blood cells. Now, this is something that when controlled breathing is done on a daily basis, and this doesn't mean that you have to subscribe to a new spiritual practice or a long meditative practice. Mindfulness can happen by just slowing down for a minute, taking a deep breath, and then letting it out. Sometimes mindfulness comes in the form of not saying the first thing on the tip of your tongue. I have found that's usually beneficial for my well-being. But what I want you guys to know is that when it's practiced on a daily basis, that it can improve white blood cells. Now, when we think about really fighting the bad guys, what they find is that individuals that were of a lower immune status, or individuals that had on a regular basis concerns with severity, duration, or frequency of colds and flus, that mindfulness after 3 months improved their white blood cells enough to give them a bump or support. And you may be saying to me, 3 months, that sounds like a really long time. I want to make sure I'm being taken care of today, right? Well, I want you to know that some of the sooner benefits, or more of the acute benefits that you'll notice from rhythmic or slowed breathing, is maintaining healthy cortisol levels. That's that stress hormone that's responsible for putting extra inches or centimeters around your middle, your hips, and your thighs. It also happens to be the hormone, the stress hormone, that is responsible for dampening your immune response when left chronically high, or depleting your sexual arousal or sexual well-being when left chronically high. I think everyone's on board right now with a little bit of rhythmic breathing to improve their stress habits, to improve their sexual well-being, to improve their support of their weight or a healthy body composition, as well as their immune system. In fact, rhythmic breathing in a much shorter period of time is shown to improve or support healthy blood pressure levels, as well as help support our response to physical and mental stressors. That's why I say that you can just take that. It doesn't have to be a long meditative practice. It can be sitting back, taking a deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, and that can create an environment that allows you to put your blood sugars back into healthier ranges, your blood pressure, your heart rate, and as a result, cortisol as well, into a healthier range. We get more blood flow to the brain, which means we are thinking better, which means we are less likely to say that thing that is on the tip of our tongue. That is also good for our well-being. Maybe not directly linked to immunity, but definitely to longevity. Am I right? Now we need to de-stress. We need to really de-stress. And this is some of where the magic of your diet, your sleep, your exercise, and supplementation can come in. This is where we're going to see huge benefits for you. We need to de-stress, unplug, and get real with ourselves. Now, I know I'm stressing you out right now, right? This is one of my favorite images or diagrams to show people, because it shows you just how important nutrients are. Nutrients like B2 and B3 that are responsible for your production of energy. Things like magnesium, vitamin C, and B2 responsible for brain neuropeptides, our memory, critical thinking, and even our ability to manage or support healthy perception of the world around us. We see B6, B12, and B9 being critically important in cardiovascular and liver health. And so when we think of inflammation, when we think about immunity, when we think about being able to fight off what stress dampens, but what the environment, the dirty world out there, impacts our liver and our ability to detox, I want you to think of B6, B12, and B9 when it comes to calming down and supporting ourselves mentally so that we don't feel overwhelmed. B6 and its ability to produce a neurohormone called GABA is hugely, hugely beneficial. So what you're seeing here is that you, through diet and supplementation, do not want to be turning your back on things like a complex of B vitamins, magnesiums in multiple different sources, and definitely vitamin C, because it plays a role not just in immunity, but also in your stress response. So healthy neurotransmitters, that's a healthy mind, and that's a healthy immune system. Magnesium is critically important in the production of serotonin so that we have a better perception of the world around us. Critically important in dopamine so that we still get that reward, but we also have a journey or an end road to ambition or those things that keep us driven or focused. That's the benefit of dopamine. What about melatonin? Melatonin is intimately linked to having a sufficient amount of magnesium. So getting a good night's sleep as well as repairing the brain, because melatonin is a neurohormone that is protective of a healthy brain, especially when we have the world coming at us fast or we are of more advanced years. And magnesium plays a role in the production of GABA. GABA is an inhibitory neurohormone or neurotransmitter. It's responsible for relaxing the body, relaxing the mind, and calming the muscles. GABA is responsible for many of the mental, emotional well-being spaces that we're trying to find ourselves in a very, very stressful time. So when we think about having enough GABA, we need to be thinking about having enough magnesium so that we can have a feeling of calm, so we can achieve healthy sleep, so that we can maintain ourself a space of well-being, a space of happiness, even when we feel that there's a lot of stress about us or it is a difficult time for us. And that brings us to the link between vitamin C and stress. Stress is something that depletes vitamin C very quickly. And the interesting thing about vitamin C is that it plays a role because of the way it is positioned in our cell membranes and the way it communicates or supports other nutrients in the body. I always call vitamin C my workout buddy. It's the one that's helping bring all the other ones to the gym, all the other ones to do the work that they need to do. So being depleted of vitamin C is something that depletes our immune system or our ability to manage an immune response healthfully or robustly. White blood cells are very much supported by having enough vitamin C, yet stress depletes our vitamin C very, very quickly. And so I want us to think about those of us or those of you that know someone that is under chronic stress, whether that's physical or emotional. And the point of talking about this in those terms is that acute stress, what we deal with where we get that fright kind of situation, that actually bumps up immune cells. Acute stressors, those things that come at us fast, but we manage just as fast, those actually bump up our immune system. But it's when the body is chronically stressed that we can't mount an appropriate response. And so I want us to think of people not that are in an acute stressful position right now, but going back and taking a personal inventory and identifying how many of us have been dealing with stress for a while. What that means is that you are likely low on things like B vitamins, magnesium, and yes, vitamin C. We want to think about people's habits. Individuals that smoke or individuals that drink alcohol, they are also depleting their B vitamins, their magnesium, and their vitamin C faster than those that don't drink alcohol, don't have a diet that is rich or have a bunch of sugar in it. Those vitamin C and smoking are a big issue. Individuals that smoke need upwards of 3 times as much vitamin C to help manage their immune health when compared to individuals that do not smoke. So we want to think not just about the acute stressors and the need for supplementation and healthy dietary habits, but we want to think about how long we've been dealing with stress, or if we know someone that's been dealing with stress for a while. And that ultimately brings me to my stacked Zen rocks, because that's how I look at vitamins or B vitamins. A complex of B vitamins are stacked on top of each other. And the reason why is one feeds the other's activity in the body. I see way too often individuals taking just a B12 supplement or just a B6 or just a B5. And that's not how B vitamins work. B vitamins need to be taken in a complex because one runs an enzyme or supports or pushes an enzyme that allows the other one to create a healthy nervous system, create healthy neurotransmitters, create energy from fatty acids, or even help us support healthy blood sugar by helping us be more insulin sensitive. These are all reasons we want to think about a B complex or a complex of B vitamins as opposed to one vitamin or one component. That's not how B vitamins and minerals are found in nature. So it should not be how you try to find them through your supplementation. But my biggest concern isn't the individual that just takes B12 or just B5 or just B6. It's the number of people that have not found a healthy outlet for their stress, that are maybe on over-the-counter recommendations or drugs to support their stress, their cold and flu, their joint discomfort, their head discomfort, because these are all things that deplete B vitamins from us. Prescription drugs do it in a similar fashion to the over-the-counter drugs. And then, of course, there's that demon right there, right? That overconsumption of sugar. And what do we often look for when we're overly stressed? More refined carbohydrates are feel-good foods, right? Sometimes alcohol, sometimes an abundance of the foods that we would not normally eat, or maybe it's just calories at this point. All of which bring us back full circle to what I was talking about, where magnesium is absolutely important, absolutely essential for the production of serotonin and dopamine. So you don't try to reward yourself with food or alcohol, and you have a healthy perception of the world around you. Vitamin C, B vitamins, and magnesium are all critically important for the balance of the immune system, through the balance of our stress cascade or our stress response. When should you be considering additional support if this is a particularly stressful time for you, or you identify with what I was describing with that person that's been dealing with stress for a very long time? If you have difficulty sleeping, I want you to think about something in addition to magnesium, which is linked to having healthy and restorative sleep. If there is prolonged mental, emotional stress, I want you to think about botanicals that are called adaptogens, but I also want you to think about talking to someone about that prolonged mental emotional stress. If you find yourself, as I described, with increased carbohydrate cravings, increased sugar cravings, you're finding that you continue to go back to look for more food, I want you to think about something that may manage stress through the botanical route that can support and kind of blunt those carbohydrate cravings. Often people feel stress in their abdomen. They feel stress and they have poor digestion. Is during these times, I want you to think about a better diet. Of course, probiotics, you betcha. But I also want you to think about a full spectrum hemp, something like that, that can be very relaxing to the digestive system, as well as supporting the endocannabinoid system that may be um, burdened with too much stress or not enough sleep. We see it in a number of different ways. Our energy's up, our energy's down. Now we're craving carbohydrates, now we're craving anything. As a result of that, our body fat goes up or our body composition changes. Maybe we don't feel like exercising anymore, or we have what is often referred to as a foggy brain, or we don't have that clear critical thinking. These are all times that you want to stack on top of things like magnesium and magnesium-rich foods, B vitamins and B vitamin-rich foods, where we want to get more vitamin C to meet our immune and stress needs. And that's why I bring up Ltheanine, one of my favorite ingredients. I call it, in fact, if you're looking for anti-stress, if you're looking for a moment of bliss, then you're looking for Ltheanine. L-theanine is found in a number of different foods, but most people can attribute it to young tea leaves, green tea, black tea. I often encourage patients and individuals to go this route because there are benefits to having a warm cup of tea, creating a ceremony for you, creating well-being for you. That ceremony or that ritual that you do each and every day is similar to the ritual that we're talking about taking a breath in through the nose and out through the mouth, calming the heart rate, calming the body, right? Calming the mind. Well, one of the ways that we can recapture and create that healthy space for us is by consuming black teas. Now, we often will link, because of what I had just mentioned about food cravings and body composition, we'll often look at botanicals that can support stress to be mixed with tea, botanicals that may support blood sugar or food cravings that can be mixed with black tea. In fact, one of the black teas that can be rich here in naturally occurring L-theanine is a product called trim tea. And trim tea being beneficial is that kind of moment of ceremony for you that also meets some of the other needs that we were talking about, where individuals that are overly stressed don't just need the naturally occurring L-theanine, right? But they may also need some blood sugar support or food craving support. And that's where things like trim tea can be hugely beneficial. I mentioned wanting to see a bit of bliss in our life. So you may be looking for anti-stress botanicals that can be very, very supportive for you. We find that individuals often, to keep their energy up, are gravitating towards more caffeine, but that kind of burns out our stress pathways. And so maybe this moment of Zen can come in the form of a cup of black tea, a cup of green tea, and a ceremonial kind of like, I'm just going to be with myself right now. And it's a great alternative to caffeine. Black teas, green teas, trim tea, these are all great alternatives to some of the high caffeine drinks that we think we need to keep our energy up. Tea, regardless of the time of day, that's a ritual for you, and I want you to start doing that. I want that to be on your list of things I did get done today. As I said, L-theanine is taken in a lot of botanical formulas. Somewhere between 150 and 250 milligrams is commonly found in botanical formulas. And the reason why it is a go-to for so many people, so many physicians, is because L-theanine is not just beneficial for calming qualities, but L-theanine has benefits in mental focus. L-theanine has benefits in adapting to physical stressors, as well as helping us get a good night's sleep. So it is neither an excitatory amino acid, but one that affects other excitatory neurotransmitters and makes and dampens them down, so we can have that sense of calm without any sedation. And that's why any time of the day that you want to do this, it would be a good idea to do this. Now, I happen to think the next most powerful solution that we could offer you is something called ashwagandha. Ashwagandha goes by the Latin name Withania somnifera. And the reason why I bring that up is because what makes ashwagandha powerful is something called a withanolide. This active ingredient called a withanolide has an adaptogenic or a balance. If you feel like you have a hair-like trigger, if you feel like you need a sense of calm, right? You need additional support. So you need help with your adrenals, cortisol, thyroid, stress. I want you to think of the withanolides that are found in the adaptogenic botanical called ashwagandha, right? So whether we're looking at bliss formulations, we're looking at weight management and stress formulations, you're going to, even libido formulations, you're going to see that there's a common actor here. And withania or ashwagandha is one of those ingredients. What I want you to know is that there's huge benefits to withanolides to manage and reduce stress, boost energy levels. Much like L-theanine, it doesn't sedate you. It improves performance. It improves reaction time physically and mentally. And when taken for on a regular basis, individuals find that they are less likely to struggle with fatigue or not feeling as strong. They end up feeling more physically robust as a result of regular use of ashwagandha. Now, it's not all about supplementation. Quality of life is very much about the people that we keep time with, right? That social connectedness again. And that's why I think it's so important that we laugh and that we laugh often. My big wish for everybody is to spend this time right now while we're in front of our computers so much, not just making connections like this, but also thinking about making connections by sharing the funny things that you see on Instagram or Facebook. There are so many people right now that are out there helping and healing their community by putting fun memes out. I suggest anything that has a baby giggling in it to increase your immunity. Anything that has a dog doing something silly. These are ways that if you can watch animal videos or baby laughing videos, you've nailed it. Your immune system just got a hike. What we know, much like I had said about the rhythmic or full breath or controlled breathing, we know that natural killer cells, T cells, are improved with laughter. And so I want us to laugh big, and I want us to laugh often. I want you to do it with friends so that you can create that kind of social connectedness. Now, are there certain things that are not related to stress, that are not related to quality of life necessary in the sense of stress management, movement, laughter, deep breathing, that can help boost or bump our immune system? There is. Vitamin D reigns supreme when it comes to immune support. And the reason why is vitamin D is essential for the production of proteins that are part of an immunocomplex, or the balance of our body's immune cells. Vitamin D supports chemical messengers that can influence our immune response, whether it's sufficient when it's too low, or to balance when it is too high. The concern for most individuals with vitamin D and immunity are individuals that are low in vitamin D already. These are the people that are going to see the biggest benefit from vitamin D. But I need to share a pretty scary statistic with you. Most of us are vitamin D insufficient. In fact, I've never met someone that's vitamin D insufficient or vitamin D sufficient that isn't already consuming vitamin D through supplementation. This is of that much more importance now as we think about coming out of the winter months, because you may be someone that says, I haven't ever had my vitamin D levels tested. I'm not sure if mine are up or down. What I want you to know is that you're coming out of winter months now. Because we're now into spring, we've kind of got two sides of this coin that we need to face. We are dealing with something right now called a vitamin D winter. It is our vitamin D status or our vitamin D levels now after the winter months, where we were already spending a lot of time indoors, where we were already where we were already facing immune challenges, where we were already in a position where that prolonged period of time without sunlight, whether you went outdoors or not, the sun is not at its peak where it should be to improve or increase vitamin D levels and therefore boost our immune systems. We are all, 100% of us, facing what is called a vitamin D winter. And so for that reason, we need to bump our vitamin D levels up now so that we can offset concerns that we have with catching viruses, catching colds and flus, or catching colds, and being immune deplete. Today is the day moving forward that I want you to start taking vitamin D if you are not already a vitamin D taker. The magic part of this is that in children, as little as 600 IUs can be beneficial. And depending on your weight, your body mass, your height, or what is referred to as comorbidities, whether or not you have blood sugar issues, cardiovascular issues, immune issues, you may need as much as 6,000 IUs to meet your needs. But what I want you to know is that you can start supplementing today, can start eating foods like fish that are rich in vitamin D, and you can start to see benefit right away. This is one of the ways that I like to truly achieve health and well-being in everyone that I work with. How about you parents? How's that homeschooling going? How are those routines coming? Are you able to keep your routine? Are you able to keep your kids on routine? You know, we talked today about all the importance of not just social distancing and being socially responsible, but also about washing our hands. When was the last time you got a toddler to wash his hands and not touch his face, right? So routine, routine, routine. And what we find is in toddlers in particular, in children rather, in particular, that creating that routine for them, their waking routine, their sleeping routine, their play routine, and of course their school routine are all things that are linked to having a healthy immune system. We want to make sure that these kids are not in chaos. And frankly, I want to make sure that you're not in chaos, because that's going to deplete your immune system as well. But I want you to know that linking to healthy sleep habits in children and dietary habits in children can boost their immune system. Now, it's not always easy to boost their immune system through supplementation. It's not always or through diet, and that's why I want you to consider supplementation. I want you to think about how we can promote well-being in our children with things like vitamin D, as little as 600 IUs, things like vitamin C, right? And that's why we talk often about bumping the immune system and supporting a healthy immune system with vitamin C and vitamin D linked together through vitamin C and D chews. But then there's this idea of having a healthy gut. If 70 to 80%, and if you ask some people, they'll go upwards of 90, will say that your 90% of your immune system is surrounding your intestines, gut-associated lymphoid tissue. So it's absolutely important that we talk to parents about healthy food choices, fiber choices, short chain fatty acids that come from good fiber dense sources. If not from fiber dense sources of food, because it's difficult to get kids to eat, maybe fiber supplementation and probiotic supplementation for them. I love to talk to new parents about something called Floramel's, which has inulin and chicory root. It has short chain fatty acids that create healthy energy for these kids, not sugar energy, right? Metabolic energy, so that they maintain their weight, but they also maintain their immune systems. And then there's something called beta glucans. And beta glucans, these are found in things like aloe plants. These are found in yeast beta glucans are easy to assimilate into the white blood cell to support immune function. We see mushrooms being rich in beta glucans. All of these can give you added support in a time of dampened immunity or stressed out immunity, or the physical body, or you're just not eating right, like we sometimes see with kids. So we want to make sure that we're looking to get our fiber in, our greens in. We want to make sure that we're getting probiotics in, right? We want to make sure that we're getting these things called beta glucans in. At the end of the day, the human body is very complex. And for that reason, we need to make sure that we're feeding it well, right? I often ask people, how are you fueling your body, right? With jet fuel, right? Or are you feeding it with premium gasoline? Depending on how you treat your body, you may need some added support. And probiotics, they have overwhelming evidence to show that they're beneficial for digestive health, for creating a healthy gut barrier, creating a healthy gut biome, ultimately creates a healthy immune system. Studies show that adding probiotics, different strains, you don't want to focus on one strain, but I want to tell you that's why you do focus on fiber. Fiber allows you, when you take a fiber supplement or you're getting more fiber in your diet, what that does is create what are called short chain fatty acids. And short chain fatty acids allow probiotics that are found naturally in fermented foods to act like a prebiotic. And so what the fiber does is create a prebiotic environment so that probiotics that are found in fermented foods or supplementation can adhere better, and they can achieve a better kind of groundswell and outcompete bad bacteria. But some of the huge benefits to probiotics in your diet and your children's diet is the increase in natural killer cells as well as T cells. And these are white blood cells that are supporting your immunity. Now, I mentioned beta glucans, and I also mentioned your kids. Well, there are ways that you can support with yeast beta glucans white blood cell activity. Macrophages, which are white blood cells, like to engulf beta glucans. They see them and eat them up, much like probiotics like to consume or eat up the broken down short chain fatty acids that come from fiber rich foods. The point is, we want to fuel the good guys, right? We want to make sure that we're weeding and feeding our bodies. And that's something that yeast beta glucans that are in the Wellmune Immune product for children and adults can be beneficial to support immune function, to support overall well-being, especially in a world where stressors, food choices, a lack of healthy sleep may be depleting your immune system. And this brings me to one of my favorite topics, which is fitness. Did you know that fitness supports the brain? It supports volume of the brain, it supports function of the nervous system, but it also supports the immune system. Individuals that exercise, even mild exercise, raise their body temperature up when they do it. And as a result of that, are creating a healthier immune response, a healthier white blood cell environment or an immune environment within the body, just by raising the temperature of their body by a little bit.
We can liken this to what happens when your body wants to fight off an invader. What does it do? It raises its temperature. Well, exercise is a way to create that healthy immune bump environment without needing the invader. But it, on the other side, allows you to be in a position to fight the invader, as well as fight the stress that leads to a dampened immune system, as well as fight the belly fat and the concerns that we have with body composition, especially as we age, and that may put us at higher risk. We do know that individuals that have cardiovascular disease, metabolic disease, are at higher risk for for being immune compromised. And so for that reason, I want to encourage everybody to pick up heavy things and put them back down again. And then there is sleep. There's literally nothing better you could do for your body than to get a healthy night's sleep, and do it night after night. Would you be surprised to know that individuals that do not get a healthy night's sleep, that their inflammatory factors go up? Something called C-reactive protein goes up by as much as 40%. Their insulin sensitivity, their ability to keep their blood sugars within healthy ranges, declines by as much as 30%. Their sexual function declines, their libido declines, and inches start adding to their middle. As much as 14 pounds added a year for individuals that have chronic days of wakefulness of 17 hours or more. Take a break, take a breath, and think about how many hours you stay awake each day and how long have you been doing that. It's critically important that you go to sleep when your body feels like it needs to go to sleep, and you wake up at the same time each morning so that you can wake up feeling refreshed and with a robust immune system. It's individuals that ignore that signal to go to sleep where their body catches a second wind. And unfortunately, it also ramps up your stress hormones, that cortisol, that leads to that extra weight around the middle, increased inflammation metabolically, or an inability to keep our blood sugars within healthy ranges and dampen our immune system. What I really want you guys to pay attention to when you do your personal inventory is how well are you sleeping? When you start to sleep well, everything else falls into place. If you don't sleep well, there are things that you can do. Magnesium hits a lot of the targets that we've talked about tonight. Some of these stress botanicals hit a lot of the targets that we've talked about tonight. But simply adding amino acids like glutamine, like L-tryptophan to your diet, the L-theanine, another amino acid that we talked about today that's found in botanical formulas for stress and adrenal, cortisol, thyroid, and well-being, right? These are all things that can also assist you in having a healthy night's sleep. Remember what I said, vitamins and minerals, they create the neurotransmitters that allow you to make your stress hormones, your relaxation hormones, as well as your sleep hormones. So remind yourself why you're paying such attention today to your well-being. We are looking at creating wellness for our community, not just by staying connected to them through some of these types of video chats, memes, text messages, and phone calls. Call your mother. She wants to hear your voice, right? When we think about different things like this, we want to also remind ourselves why we're so dedicated to doing this. Hashtag flatten the curve. What is your checklist? Optimize your vitamin D levels. Optimize antioxidants like curcumin, red wine extract, and vitamin C. Optimize activities, physical activities that elevate body temperature. Correct possible nutrient deficiencies that may be linked to a decline in your immune function. We've chosen vitamin D, we've chosen B vitamins, magnesium, and vitamin C here today. Avoid those things that create inflammation, like too much sugar and alcohol in your diet. And please do your body a favor, do your immune system a favor, and get a good night's sleep. Okay, that is my word for you. If you need more help, there are health practitioners that you can telemedicine with. There are mental health practitioners that you can telehealth with. I want to make sure that if this is a confusing time for you, that you know that we have resources for you to help answer your questions. And if this is a particularly stressful time for you, I want you to know that there's a community of people that care and that you can reach out to for help.